Hello and welcome to another episode of Podcast The Motion Picture. Today we are going to be discussing Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Alright, so what did you guys think of the film overall?
You can go first, Esteban.
I actually really enjoyed this one. I feel like I'd probably be pissing off a lot of people, but I think this is my favorite of the entire series. It just felt a little more immersive, and I really enjoyed the action sequences in this movie.
What about the emotional aspects of it?
I definitely did feel some emotional attachment to some characters. I really enjoyed K2SO.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was probably the best character in the movie, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
I also enjoyed it, but I am probably going to piss off a different group of people than Esteban is pissing off. I felt like it was a very safe movie.
Mm.
But, you know, I don't want to make it sound like I don't recognize the quality that it is, the craftsmanship. I love all those things. I feel like the three films we previously watched were overly ambitious, and it feels like this one was very safe.
And you're talking about story-wise, right?
Yeah, I would say overall, but yeah, story mostly.
I think also, to be fair, like, the other films, when we think of them, are kind of like the story of, like, a Jedi's fucking dark path to the dark side. And then this is more in tune with the whole rebels versus in war and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this film connected with us more just because, like, maybe there's more demographics that were represented?
I think so, probably. At least on my part, I did feel, I guess, a little bit more recognition as far as being represented with Cassian's character, with the whole Hispanic Mexican demographic, which you don't really see in movies, period.
Mm-hmm.
You do see a little bit more, maybe more of the black community, or maybe even the Asian community. But one demographic that I feel doesn't get as much exposure might be the Mexican community. So I did feel
Yeah. And you're talking strictly in terms of space, right?
Or
what are you referring to?
I think just in the movie industry.
Oh, okay.
I felt I could be a little bit more into this world where I previously would not have been able to see myself in that whole realm, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think it's Mindy had showed me a post of an older. I'll just assume he was a Mexican guy, like somebody's Mexican grandpa watched the movie and really liked that Cassian still had an accent.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it didn't bother me because, you know, we all live in Southern California, and that's like a relatively common accent we hear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure for the rest of the world it was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that is kind of piggybacking on what Esteban's saying. It's like, it's normal for us.
Yeah.
So it's strange that it hasn't been more. It hasn't been used more.
Yeah.
I do actually have a complaint about Jyn. I think she was the weakest character in the film.
The weakest?
Yeah.
How so?
Probably just I felt like maybe she was I guess her character arc was a little muddy Like
Yeah.
you couldn't really see what she was fighting for the entire time.
Exactly.
It kind of changes halfway through the movie.
Yeah, and also, like, I had this problem. Okay, so this is one of the few films I actually worked on at two different studios. So I
Mhm.
started working on this movie a long time ago. And I always had a problem with how they cast the character.
Mhm.
Specifically in the scene where the guy's reading off her rap sheet. He's
Yeah.
saying, like, aggravated assault, impersonating an officer, all these things. And she's just, like, sitting there. And I'm like, this girl doesn't have a scar on her face. And when it comes time to kick ass, she kind of saves a kid and then like beats a couple of stormtroopers up. And in terms of badassery, like the fucking those two Asian dudes were the most badass. And the first time we see Cassian, he fucking kills two stormtroopers and then shoots a dude in the back. You're like, this guy's a badass. And it's show don't tell.
Yeah, she did seem, I guess, a lot more. I want to say a little bit more frail than she was supposed to be. I think.
Yeah.
I think towards the third act of the movie, she definitely stepped up her game
Yeah,
so much.
even if they had just set up a 2 to 5 minute scene of her getting locked up,
Mhm.
that would have been enough for me. Like if she really was impersonating an officer and they caught her and then she broke a stormtrooper's nose or something like that,
Yeah.
then I'd have been like, oh, okay, yeah, she does know how to scrap. I believe that this girl grew up with Forrest Whitaker and has survived this long.
Mhm. Like I could almost imagine, almost like Elizabeth Salander from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah,
Kind of more appropriate for,
definitely.
I guess, the kind of character they were trying to go for.
Yeah, and see that, I guess again that goes into like the casting. Like when you see
Mhm.
that character from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, no matter which version you watch, she still looks like she could fuck you up.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, everyone's they're the protagonists. They got to have some heart. They've got to have some humanity. But as far as her character arc, she didn't seem like she evolved too much.
Yeah, because at first she's just like, all right, I'll help you guys so you can give me my freedom. Then
Yeah.
she sees the hologram of her dad and she's like, well, I need to go see my dad. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that. And then once she sees her dad die, now she's like, no, now I'm going to destroy the Death Star.
All right, what do you think, Ben?
I want to bring up another Alien because it just pisses me off, but like in terms of dad's dying wishes, I can't help but think of Man of Steel. It's like technically Jin did what a good kid is supposed to do and go through with their father's dying wishes.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what I really want to see is an alien, like a true Star Wars alien as the main character, or a droid.
Mm-hmm.
That might never happen. Did either of you guys watch this in theaters?
I did.
Did you watch it digital or on film?
I believe it was digital. It was kind of a it was kind of a high class theater for me.
Cool. Well, I got to see a few reels in film because we did one film version at IMAX, and I got to say the CGI. Ben, what was the name of the CGI character? The general. What?
Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin on film.
yeah.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
On film, because you just kind of like put that layer of film over it. And
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's almost like a veil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the audience. I notice that sometimes when I go into like maybe like Best Buy or something, and they have the higher definition television screens, and I remember passing by and seeing one of the Harry Potter movies.
Oh yeah, those ones.
And
to see on,
and
like,
just like
True HD.
And I'm just like watching it. I'm like, they're on a movie set.
Yeah.
Like you can tell with this television, like that that veil has been lifted. There's almost it's too much, and I think they're trying to push even further. But I think if you push too far, then some of the suspension of disbelief gets taken away.
Yeah, I agree.
Was there any line to you guys that like stuck out, that just stayed with you? Any line at all?
I'm with the Force, the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force, the Force is with me.
I was just about to say that.
Okay.
I'm not even a religious guy, but I think it sounds cool.
Yeah. For me, it was one line that was just really out of place, but just made me like laugh.
Was it the line where he goes, "Board, kill it"?
No. It was some line, I don't know who spoke it, but it was just like, "Let the girl speak." Just let the girl speak. That guy had a good day on set.
Yeah. So, can we all talk about the ending? The Darth Vader hallway sequence.
That was pretty badass. I thought that was probably one of the coolest movie moments to me.
Yeah. Holy shit, yeah.
Could have probably used more blood.
Yeah. But then they couldn't have got their PG-13.
We're losing so much trying to appeal to the 13-year-olds.
Also, technically, Star Wars doesn't really like use blood, because if you think about it, lightsabers and the laser guns all cauterize the wound.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they're superheated. So, what'd you guys think of that little alien with the like bulldog face in the rebellion? That guy cracked me up every time I saw him, because he's just like and he's like running. I'm like, really? He couldn't have said something cool. Like, they made those fish people, the calamari guys, say cool shit. We've got a Cadillac. What did he call it? When Bodhi calls them and says, you gotta bust open the force field generator, he goes, "Don't worry, we got a Cadillac spearhead for you," or something like that. Oh, so if you guys go back and rewatch the shot where the ship crashes into the Star Destroyer, you can see like little people inside the cockpit all like fly forward.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I have to watch that.
Yeah, the attention to detail is great.
Well, you also worked on it, so
I did.
You're looking at it from it's almost like frame by frame sometimes.
It is. Yeah, it is frame by frame most of the time. And also one of the editors came to our work to sign off on everything, make sure everything looked good, and we would talk to him, and he was a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he gave us little bits of trivia, like a couple of those shots inside the cockpits are from this, like the original Star Wars shoot, stuff that didn't make the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then they just matched their stuff to look like that, so it was seamless.
What did you guys think of that epic cameo of C-3PO and R2-D2?
It was a little ridiculous. Why the fuck were they on there?
Did we need that cameo?
No. Did R2 have his memory circuits wiped too, or just nobody can understand him?
That's what I don't understand. And Anakin didn't have his memory circuits wiped. So like, why doesn't he just get this droid that is the single most important droid in all of existence and just defeat the entire Rebel Alliance?
It'd probably take too much attention away from K2SO.
Yeah, he was great. The part where he caught the grenade and then just like casually tossed it back, awesome.
He was always casually doing stuff. Was that Alan Tudyk?
It was.
That guy, dude. He gets to play the best characters.
Yeah, and he said in interviews that it was because of iRobot that he got this role, because he'd already played.
Is it the same one?
Yeah, he played Sonny.
Oh shit.
So I guess I'm sure that's not the whole reason why he got it, but you know,
he's also the pirate.
Yeah, Steve the Pirate.
Or Steve the Pirate.
He's a good voice actor. I think he also did the chicken from Moana.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I remember I was waiting for that chicken to say something because I knew he voiced it, and he never said anything. And I was just like, why did Alan Tudyk voice this?
Yeah, he said that he had to wear stilts on set, so he would be like talking to people, and his junk would be right in their face.
I think the same guy who did the voice for Roger Rabbit would come out on set dressed as Roger Rabbit, even though he did not need to.
Yeah.
That's commitment. Definitely. It really puts the actors in the moment. Like when Nicolas Cage painted himself like a panda bear for Ghost Rider 2. So, one thing that Kim Jamin told me off air that I'd like you to speak on right now is the look of Darth Vader.
Yeah, I did not. I was not. I didn't like it. Like, I get that they wanted to appease the fans and bring back the original costume, but to me, the original costume looks dated because none of the buttons look like they work. Like, it doesn't look like a functional thing. It looks like a costume, like with a chest plate. And so I did not.
But why would
that.
he? But if they made it better, why would he downgrade in like the further episodes?
Yeah, because
like,
Rogue One
that's something that they can't fix, but like, he looks freaking dope as hell in Star Wars Rebels, so I just wish he looked dope as hell in Rogue One.
Yeah,
well, because he just looked a little bit shinier, actually.
Yeah.
So can we discuss those two Asian guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Did either of you ship them?
No.
You didn't.
I didn't.
That was one of the biggest things I read online after the film first came out. Is a bunch
that
of
they
people,
were
that they were lovers. Yeah.
I didn't feel that. I felt
Because
like they were really close friends.
I agree.
Yeah, I actually like took that to be like I actually kind of applauded that for being like a story of brotherhood instead of just throwing in another romance into a movie.
Well,
yeah.
What I read on Tumblr is no two heterosexual men would get that emotional in a moment of death.
I don't think that's true. I don't know.
It's because
I'm really confused because like that sort of view doesn't sound like it would come from someone who uses Tumblr.
I know, I'm just kidding. It wasn't on Tumblr. I don't know exactly where I read it, but I just heard it.
It was probably Tumblr. Tumblr's notorious for that. They're just making a lot of connections.
Yeah.
I mean, as a gay man, like that would be ecstatic almost to see some inclusion in that demographic.
But would you rather have Cassian?
Well, yeah, probably. But yeah, I still don't see that connection between Chirrut and Baze. But I think it'd be cool. But I don't think it's an actual thing that's going on there.
Another interesting thing about the Baze character is that actor is actually a very famous Chinese independent film director.
Mm.
And that's part of the reason why Rogue One did so well in China. That's the equivalent of, I don't know, a fucking Wes Anderson or somebody. Like a really famous independent director being in an action movie.
That would be ridiculous. Wes Anderson in an action movie.
He's a very mainstream director, but Michael Bay was in Mystery Men as one of the frat boys.
Well, I've said this before, but like David Lynch was actually a regular on the Cleveland show. Like,
yeah, I thought that was weird. I thought that was really weird when I heard that. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, no, that was really him.
Yeah.
Really?
Like I had to look it up like a couple times because I was in such disbelief. I was like, why?
Well,
why?
He also came out in Louis though. That was
what?
pretty awesome. Louis.
Oh,
the Louis C.K. show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh,
you know what? You know what I actually ended up picturing? I ended up picturing the Louis Anderson show, Like I went all the way back to the '90s in my head.
I understand.
That cartoon.
Oh man, that thing is an abomination.
No, but yeah, Louis C.K. makes much more sense.
How did you feel the action was in this movie, as opposed to the other action sequences from the other movies?
Well, it's like I said before, like if you were to compare the movies, like episodes 1 through 3 are your like what do you call them? Like your wire fu? Is that what it's called or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you got your Rogue One and episodes 4 through 6, which is more like knights, like the way knights fight. And so I think just certain demographics respond better to certain types of fighting.
I felt this one was a little bit more realistic, I guess, in the sense of like the fighting, because you did see a little bit more casualties on both sides, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's not just like the stormtroopers shooting and they don't actually hit anybody. Mm-hmm. It's like there are actual like casualties on both sides, and you get more of a sense of urgency, I think, with this film than with at least the previous films, I think.
I agree with you that it does feel more realistic, but I do also feel like it was at times a little hard to follow geographically. They did a bit shaky cam, which I said in a previous episode that was one of the things I liked about the prequel trilogy, is like everything was really stationary, and so when stuff was happening I understood where everyone was in relation to each other. I guess as a downside it does look a little bit more boring, but that's just my personal bias. Like I can't stand shaky cam. That was one of my biggest problems with Captain America Civil War. It's just like, ugh, it's making me sick.
I don't mind it so much, but it does get overused a lot. But I think with some action sequences it works pretty well, because it kind of puts you on that ground level with the characters, I guess.
And I also like that they made the weakness of the Death Star no longer an absurdity. Now it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That did make me... It gave me almost a sense of closure, I guess, knowing that that it wasn't just for nothing.
Yeah, because like even Family Guy, when they did their Star Wars parodies...
Oh, yeah. How did you think the score fared, as far as like, the music, I guess? I thought it was pretty good, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, it was good, but I couldn't help but laugh every time they played like the little Rogue One theme, because it was just kind of like a off key Star Wars. Like it just made me laugh. Like it sounds like Star Wars, but it sounded like different. I don't know, like for whatever reason, it just made me laugh every time I heard it, even though it's like I like it.
Exactly. Maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they didn't want Rogue One to have an iconic theme because everybody dies at the end, so they'll never use it again. But it's not bad. It was definitely a monumentous challenge to bridge the gap between Episode 3 and Episode 4, and I think they did it spectacularly. Again, I just think it's a bit safe, which is not a bad thing, because everybody seems to like Rogue One and Force Awakens more than they liked the prequel trilogy. So,
but I also do think George Lucas wanted to keep bringing Star Wars to a new generation,
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't know if he hit the mark with the right generation with episodes 1, 2, and 3, but I do think we do have at least like 3 generations of people who are Star Wars fans, and that's good. I think the whole point is just to keep creating Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I watched Rogue One and the latest Star Wars in theaters with my family and my niece was there. So she's 6 years old, and I just remember in the latest Star Wars, when what's his name, Kylo Ren kills Han Solo,
Spoiler.
and she's just sorry. I just remember how my niece just got up from her seat and just like yelled at the screen, and just had like a fit that he died because she had seen the other movies as well.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool seeing that reaction out of a new generation as well.
Yeah. I kind of wonder with the generation now, I wonder how they would feel about the original trilogy, given that a lot of the movies that they're being shown are like these Marvel movies, and they are very colorful and jump aroundy. Maybe those just were made a little too soon, and maybe they might even appeal to the Star Wars fans of today rather than the Star Wars fans of 10 years ago.
And I think that the prequel trilogy was a bit too grand, I guess, for its own sake. Like, George Lucas somehow managed to pack so much content in those 2.5 hours. It's like,
yeah.
There are other movies where hardly anything happens and you're sitting there for an hour and a half and you're like, geez.
Yeah, it took Peter Jackson 3 movies to have a guy throw a ring in a volcano, but George Lucas took 3 movies to take over the entire universe.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe that's what people like now, and that's why Rogue One and Force Awakens did so well, is because it's very... Like, there's one major conflict and one big thing happening, so people can get on board
huge
with
galactic scale.
Yeah.
I guess it's like what you're trying to get at is, as far as the safe thing, is that there's not too many layers to peel back. There's just a main, I guess, plot device going on.
There's smaller, more contained stories.
Yeah, which is great because, like Kim Jamin already mentioned, Marvel, I still have to say that one of my favorite Marvel films is Ant-Man. And that one has probably the smallest scale threat out of all of the Marvel films. There's nothing bad about Rogue One being safe. I just felt I needed to say it. I've been Jestro.
I've been Kim Jamin.
And I have been Esteban.
On podcast, the motion picture.
패드 드림 스프레이